What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Jarrell, Big Baby Miller. Jarrell, Big Baby Miller, says that he can't wait to fight Anthony Joshua. He says he cracks at every hard task. Ooh. And Miller had this to say. He said, AJ is the one I want. Belt, no belt, I've still got to punch that man. If you watch it, ever since I punked his ass in New York, he's never been the same. That boy lost all of his marbles. Andy Ruiz smoked him. Usyk smoked him twice. I tell people this. Media can be your worst enemy or your best friend. Media was both for him. They made him something he wasn't. He's not a killer. He's no animal, no savage. I know a savage in the ring, and he's not one of them. So I always knew that when he is in front of a super tough task, he's going to crumble. He cracks. Andy did it, and Usyk just ran from him and beat him up. Those are the words of Jarrell Miller, and let me counterpunch. I have to give Jarrell Miller credit. I always considered Jarrell Miller one of the second best shit talkers in the business. I mean, that's what made Jarrell Miller who he was. That's what got Jarrell Miller the opportunity, is this mouthpiece. And I just loved how he just spent it. Did you guys just hear what I read that he said? Bars. This guy said, ever since I punked Anthony Joshua in New York, he's never been the same. I mean, it's genius. Why is it genius? Because he's saying it wasn't Andy Ruiz that did that. It was me. I broke that boy down. I made him cuss when he normally don't even cuss. He normally just says, let the best man win. We're all sports at the end of the day, right? But then Miller made him come out of his comfort zone. He made him break that decent level. You know what I mean? He became unglued. He became a dude that people didn't know, you know, and he was pissed off. He was able to piss Anthony Joshua off. He was able to do that. And it was almost like, wow, this AJ is a different AJ. You know what I mean? Because AJ was actually mad. He did what Bernard Hopkins did with Felix Trinidad in 2001 when he threw down the Puerto Rican flag and Puerto Rico and pissed off Tito. But he really actually fought Tito. He didn't have to have drugs or whatever. But besides the point, Jarrell Miller, man, you know, has just spun it that he was the guy that made Anthony Joshua the guy that he actually was instead of the guy that people thought that he was. Ooh. So what do I say to that? Okay, wonderful. Eddie Hearn talks all this shit about opposition. And he says, oh, well, he's going to come fight guys like Andy Ruiz and this, that, and the other. Let me tell you guys something. I would rather see Anthony Joshua fight Jarrell Miller, which is still undefeated, than watching Andy Ruiz 3, okay? Or a Dillian White 2. You know, and if we're looking at Eddie Hearn and his squabble or his beef or his issue with Jarrell Miller saying he'll never get a shot and this, that, and the other, well, what do you say about the last two opponents that Anthony Joshua was going to fight and fought one of them? They had issues with their their drug test. So you can't just keep talking about the same shit when there's other fighters that you've put in front of AJ that has been tested positive for something. Let's just be real. You wanted to make a Dillian White 2, then Dillian White had some adverse shit went on, right? And then they canceled the fight. He ends up fighting Robert Helenius, and Robert Helenius ended up finding some adverse finding after the fucking fight. So then at this point, if he overlooks, because I know AJ wants to fight Jarrell Miller still. I know he wanted to the last time somebody asked him. He wanted to after he found out that he had drugs in his system. He said, I'll fight him anyway. So if Eddie Hearn still says and talks the same old song and dance about Jarrell Miller, well, he owes me money and he tried to hurt my friend and this, that, and the other. And if he's still saying that says he's 100% biased towards non-American fighters. Because Dillian White, this ain't his first rodeo or his first issue with drugs. Let's just be real. Let's call it that is what it is. Okay, let's keep it 100, okay? So, that fight should happen because now Jarrell Miller is now saying that he is the reason that AJ is cracked. And he didn't crack physically, he cracked mentally, and he was the one that did it in New York. He ain't never been the same. So for that, when this shit gets back to Eddie, when this shit gets back to AJ, I implore anybody that knows Eddie Hearn or Anthony Joshua, send this video to him because AJ needs to now call and tell Eddie, get me fucking Jarrell Miller. Get me Jarrell Miller in December. By that time, Jarrell Miller will have fought for the WBA, right? He would have fought Mahmoud Char for the WBA next month in 2 months because he wants to fight as much as he can. Set that fight up with Jarrell Miller. Let's end this talk. Let's end this thing. And Jarrell Miller is actually the guy that Joshua should be wanting to fight the most because Jarrell Miller fucked up everything for everybody in the heavyweight division. Let's just be real. When he failed those drug tests, he disrupted the narration and the progression of the fight. He made an alternative universe, people, with the shit that he did. Since he didn't come in square, since he didn't come in clean, he made a guy, Andy Ruiz, another guy that he didn't even really supposed to be. Andy Ruiz supposed to be that guy that's fighting on Al Heyman. He's supposed to fight Charles Martin and probably who else is over there, honestly? He might have fought Frank Sanchez at one. He didn't, look, they disrupted the reality of boxing. They did. And AJ owes him one. Or he owes AJ. He owes AJ. There you go. And AJ needs to come in and take it to Jarrell Miller like he was going to do. And you know something? That might actually mentally help AJ. Because AJ was caught in a situation where he hasn't really been in before. Because most of his fights, okay, this fight's done. Boom, let's have it. Let's fight. Let's do it. This time in 2019, he had to deal with someone with, the issue with the fighter testing positive. And then, it was like, hey, who is this guy? Okay, no, it doesn't matter who this guy is. Bop, 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 bop. Oh, shit. Yes, it does matter who this guy is. Now I have to get the belts back. Now I am worried about getting hit or knocked up or slapped around like that again. So now that's changing the way I think, the way I move, the way I talk, the way I walk, the way everything happens for me. You know what I mean? So yes, I think, saying all that to say this, people, he needs to fight Jarrell Miller. Jarrell Miller needs to fight Anthony Joshua. Let's see that Beyond the Gloves episode, okay? And then they should do it again. And this should be a big, and they should do it in Madison Square Garden. God damn it. That's what they should do. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Jarrell Miller telling AJ, you're not the same since I punked you in New York. You're not who you say you are. You don't have the dog in you. You crumble under pressure, and I still want to punch you in the face. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace!